Good morning and happy Monday. I wanted to welcome everyone back to my videos, and I wanted to talk about a tip or a question that was brought up to me in my questionnaire on Instagram. And that was, how do you discuss salary questions early on in the interview? So that's a two-part answer to that question. So the first part would be if you're talking to a recruiter. So my advice, anytime you're talking to a recruiter that's working with the company, or for the company, whatever the case is, always give them your direct answer. So always say what you're looking for. So for example, if you were making $50,000 at your previous position, you can say, that exactly. I was making $50,000 at my previous position, and I'd like to make at least 55. And just say 55 would be my minimum, right? Because their goal is to look for a position for you that is within your salary range, right? So if you're kind of vague, it's hard for them to give you exactly what you're looking for. And my suggestion is why you're going, let's say 5,000 more, is because in that last position, you've learned some new things, right? So even if that position, maybe you're looking for something very similar, you still learned in that role itself. And so that gives you a little bit of a boost as to what you were making before. The second part to that question is if you're talking directly to the interviewer. Let's say you're interviewing with the company, right? It's your first interview. They say, what are your salary expectations? So my advice is always, again, kind of part of the being prepared for your interview, is going into the interview already sort of having an idea of what the average salary is for the position you're applying for. So let's say you're looking for a data analyst role in Chicago, for example, right? So what you would do, my advice, first thing is to go to Glassdoor. Check Glassdoor, see if they have any other positions that are similar or exactly what you're looking for, and see if they have the salary listed, if it's been reported. If it has, perfect, right? That's your ammunition right there. If, let's say, you go on Glassdoor and maybe it's a smaller company or that position itself hasn't been listed with its salary, that's okay, right? So just Google data analyst positions in Chicago, average salary, right? So that you can kind of gauge what the range would be. So let's say scenario one, you have exactly what that company gives out for data analyst positions. You go into the interview, the interviewer is asking you, how much would you like for, what is your salary expectations? And go into it saying, yeah, so I went and did some research, and I noticed that you pay an average between $45,000 and $55,000 to your employees here as a data analyst role. That automatically say, I'd like to be within that range, or you can even go a little bit higher. If the expectations that are listed are exactly what you have, or if you have a little bit more, ask a little bit higher. You can prove that, or you can justify that by saying, yes, the expectations you have listed, I have those, and I have additional expectation, or I have additional qualifications. So here is what I would be looking for. Scenario two, if you can go in and say, well, I did some research. The average salary for Chicago for a data analyst position with the experience that I currently have is between $45,000 and $55,000. I believe that I have a little bit more experience than an entry level role, so I would like to be more in the $55,000 range. So basically, it comes down to research and doing everything you can to look up something or look up that position in your area, right? So sometimes when you Google, human resource manager in Chicago, you'll get everything from 40,000 to 80,000 or whatever the case is. That's a very huge range. So kind of maybe go in the middle, right? So let's say you get 40 to 80, that's what you see. Just shoot for 60, and they kind of can gauge, right? So if the position that you're looking for, if they decide that what you're asking for is too much, then yes, they may pass on you. But again, know your worth, right? So if you were in a role and you're looking for a role and you know what you bring to the table and you know what you made before in another company, keep set in what you're looking for. Right now the job market is hard. Yes, I will agree with that. But I think that it's best to go for what you realistically can have, right? So if you've already built a life around $50,000 and they're going to offer you 42, that's a large decrease, and you don't want to put that burden on yourself. So always go for what you, I always, my personal experience and my opinion is to always go for, you know, what you currently were making. Maybe a little less, maybe a couple $1,000s less, but always go for right around what you were making or a little bit higher. So that's my advice. I know that was a long-winded answer for a question, but if anybody has any questions further on that I maybe didn't discuss, or just kind of clarification, definitely feel free to reach out. I know sometimes that my wording isn't as best as it can be, but I'm working on that. So thank you everyone for, you know, listening and watching my videos again. Again, if you have any questions, if you have any, you know, tips or tricks or anything that you want me to talk about, please let me know. And until next time, have a good week and good luck in everything that you're doing this week and going forward. Bye-bye.